All India Radio presents Morning News. Good morning. I'm Tanvi Taneja and with me is VC Pramod. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to address conclave on school education in 21st century through video conferencing today. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar meets his Chinese counterpart in Moscow. Two sides agree for early disengagement and easing of tensions at LAC. Government forms 3-member expert panel to assist in assessment of relief to bank borrowers. COVID-19 recovery rate stands at 77.74% in the country, and US revokes visas of more than 1,000 Chinese students and researchers deemed to be a security risk. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will address the conclave on school education in 21st century under the National Education Policy 2020 through video conferencing today. The Ministry of Education is organizing this 2-day conclave, which began yesterday as part of the Shiksha Parv. NEP 2020 is the first education policy of the 21st century. It was announced 34 years after the previous National Policy on Education 1986. NEP 2020 is directed towards major reforms in both school and higher education level. A report.
The new National Education Policy aims at making India into an equitable and vibrant knowledge society. It envisions an India-centered education system that contributes directly to transforming India into a global superpower. NEP 2020 brought in sweeping reforms in school education in the country. At the school level, emphasis is being given to universalization of early childhood care and education for children up to the age of 8. 10+2 structure of school curricula is to be replaced by a 5+3+3+4 curricular structure. The comprehensive transformation aimed in the NEP will bring about a paradigm shift in the country's education system and create an enabling and reinvigorated educational ecosystem for a new Atmanirbhar Bharat envisaged by the Prime Minister. With Anupam Mishra, Suparna Saikia, AIR News, Delhi.
Prime Minister yesterday digitally launched the Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana PMMSY. He also launched the e-Gopala app, a comprehensive breed improvement marketplace and information portal for direct use of farmers. On the occasion, several other initiatives in the fisheries and animal husbandry sectors in Bihar were also launched by the Prime Minister. The Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana is a flagship scheme for focused and sustainable development of the fisheries sector in the country. Speaking on the occasion, the Prime Minister said over 20,000 crore rupees will be spent under the Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana in the next 4 to 5 years.
21 राज्यों में इस योजना का शुभारंभ हो रहा है। अगले 4-5 वर्षों में इस पर 20,000 करोड़ रुपए से ज्यादा खर्च किए जाएंगे। इसमें से आज 1,700 करोड़ रुपए का काम हो रहा है। इसी के तहत ही बिहार के पटना, पूर्णिया, सीतामढ़ी, मधेपुरा, किशनगंज और समस्तीपुर में अनेक सुविधाओं का लोकार्पण और शिलान्यास किया गया है। इससे मछली उत्पादकों को नया इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर मिलेगा, आधुनिक उपकरण मिलेंगे, नया मार्केट भी मिलेगा।
The Prime Minister said the scheme aims to make villages the strength of 21st century India.
जितनी भी ये योजनाएं शुरू हुई हैं, उनके पीछे की सोच ही यही है कि हमारे गांव 21वीं सदी के भारत, आत्मनिर्भर भारत की ताकत बने, ऊर्जा बने। कोशिश ये है कि अब इस सदी में ब्लू रिवॉल्यूशन यानी मछली पालन से जुड़े काम, व्हाइट रिवॉल्यूशन यानी डेयरी से जुड़े काम, स्वीट रिवॉल्यूशन यानी शहद उत्पादन से जुड़े काम हमारे गांवों को और समृद्ध और सशक्त करें।
Mr. Modi will participate in Griha Pravesh ceremony and virtually inaugurate 1.75 lakh houses in Madhya Pradesh tomorrow. Mr. Modi will also talk to some of the beneficiaries. More from our correspondent.
The house of Subhash and Sushila of Urdan village of Baitul district of Madhya Pradesh has been completed recently under the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. Subhash's wife Sushila said that we had received 1.5 lakh rupees from the government to build a house.
मकान था सर तो हमारा हमको दिक्कत हो रही थी, पानी का पकड़ा था और मकान बन रहा है तो बहुत अच्छा से लग रहा है.
Batul District Panchayat CEO ML Tyagi said that the way Subhash and Sushila work hard to prepare the house themselves is remarkable for others too.
उससे स्वयं हितग्राही में एक अपनी स्वयं की प्रेरणा से अच्छे मकान को उन्होंने बनाकर तैयार किया.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi too has been impressed by this couple of Batul. Prime Minister will also talk to Subhash and Sushila during a dialogue with the beneficiaries of PM Awas scheme on September 12. With Mayank Bhargav from Batul, Sanjeev Sharma, AIR News, Bhopal.
External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar met Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi on the sidelines of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization SCO meet in Russia yesterday. The meeting went on for almost 2 hours. During the meeting, the two sides agreed on 5 points to guide their approach to the situation on the line of actual control, LAC. Both the ministers agreed for early disengagement and easing of tensions at the LAC. The two foreign ministers agreed that the current situation in the border areas is not in the interest of either side and agreed that the border troops of both sides should continue their dialogue and maintain proper distance. The two countries also agreed on not allowing differences to become disputes. Both sides also agreed to take guidance from the series of consensus between leaders of the two countries on developing India-China relations. In a joint statement released after the bilateral meeting, it is informed that both the ministers agreed that the two sides will abide by all the existing agreements and protocol on India-China boundary affairs and maintain peace and tranquility in the border areas.
Rafale fighter aircraft was formally inducted into the Indian Air Force at a formal function at Air Force Station Ambala. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh and Florence Parly, Minister of the Armed Forces of France, graced the occasion. Speaking on the occasion, Defence Minister said the induction of Rafale is a historic moment and a very important milestone in the history of the IAF.
हमारे मित्र देश फ्रांस के साथ राफेल डील भारत की नेशनल सिक्योरिटी में एक गेम चेंजर है. इसका लॉन्ग रेंज ऑपरेशन, अपने वजन के बराबर आर्मामेंट और एडिशनल फ्यूल कैरी करने की कैपेसिटी, शॉर्ट लैंडिंग ग्राउंड से ऑपरेट करने की एबिलिटी, हाई स्पीड जैसी खूबियां इसे दुनिया के बेस्ट एयरक्राफ्ट में से एक बनाती हैं. अपनी मल्टी रोल कैपेबिलिटीज के साथ यह दुश्मनों के खिलाफ अचूक कार्रवाई करने में भी पूरी तरह से सक्षम है.
The government has constituted a 3-member expert committee to assist in the assessment of relief to bank borrowers. The committee, chaired by former CAG Rajiv Mehrishi, will measure the impact on the national economy and financial stability of waiving of interest and COVID-19 related moratorium. It will also give suggestions to mitigate financial constraints of various sections of society in this respect and measures to be adopted in this regard. The panel will submit its report within 1 week. The move came as various concerns have been raised during the ongoing hearing in the Supreme Court in the matter regarding relief sought in terms of waiver of interest and waiver of interest on interest and other related issues.
Home Minister Amit Shah said that public awareness is the only solution in the fight against coronavirus. He also appealed to the people to strictly follow social distancing. Mr. Shah was speaking after the launch of various development schemes in his Gandhinagar Lok Sabha constituency through video conferencing. The Home Minister said the nation is fighting a battle against coronavirus under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He also praised the Gujarat government for decline in death rate and improving recovery rate in the state. Mr. Shah inaugurated and dedicated various development schemes worth over 15 crore rupees in Gandhinagar district. He also laid the foundation stone of various developmental projects worth over 119 crore rupees on this occasion. Minority Affairs Minister Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi has said that abolition of Article 370 has demolished the speed breaker of redundant laws which obstructed the development process in Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh. He said that now Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh are also getting benefits of various schemes of the central government. Mr. Naqvi is on a 2-day visit to the Union Territory of Ladakh. He met representatives of various social organizations in Leh, Sabuthang, Chushut Chama, Chushut Gongma, Phyang and other areas of the Union Territory and reviewed different development projects. Mr. Naqvi said that after abolition of the Article 370, more than 75,000 youths of Jammu and Kashmir, Leh, Kargil have been provided employment-oriented skill development training. He said 50 new colleges are being set up in the region, while 25,000 seats have been added in existing colleges. Mr. Naqvi said that the process has been started to fill vacant government posts and more than 35,000 school teachers have been regularized.
Veteran actor and former BJP MP Paresh Rawal has been appointed as the chairperson of the National School of Drama NSD. This was disclosed by Culture Minister Prahlad Patel yesterday. Rawal, who's been appointed for a period of 4 years, said his vision is to reach out to more people through quality theatre. The National Film Award-winning actor started his journey in Gujarati theatre in 1972 and has been a part of plays such as Vairi, Jhoot Bole Ka Wakate and Kishan vs. Kanhaiya. Rawal, who had represented Ahmedabad East constituency in the Lok Sabha, is a veteran actor of Hindi cinema and is known for films such as Wo Chhokri, Vallabhbhai Patel's biopic Sardar, Andaz Apna Apna, Hera Fairy and OMG Oh My God. In a swift operation, the Indian Coast Guard ship Vaibhav rescued 9 fishermen stranded in mid-sea near Thoothukudi in Tamil Nadu yesterday evening. The boat suffered engine failure and was drifting towards the Sri Lankan waters due to strong winds and sea currents. On receiving information, the Coast Guard ship Vaibhav made a thorough search in the sea and established communication with the crew of the fishing boat. It was later towed back to the shores along with the 9 fishermen safely.
The COVID-19 recovery rate has reached 77.74%. In all, 72,939 people recovered from coronavirus and were discharged from hospitals during the last 24 hours. The Health Ministry said the total number of recoveries has reached 34,71,783. It said the constant increase in recoveries has ensured that the actual caseload of the country is reduced and currently comprises only 20.58% of the total positive cases. Effective implementation of test, track and treat approach has led to higher recoveries and lower fatalities. Currently, India's case fatality rate is at 1.68%. A total of 95,735 new cases were reported in the last 24 hours in the country. The total number of positive cases has now reached 44,65,863. Presently, the total number of active cases in the country is 9,19,018. In the last 24 hours, 1,172 deaths have been reported, taking the toll to 75,062. In Tamil Nadu, the active COVID-19 caseload has remained below 50,000 for the last 2 days. The total infection in the state has reached 4.86 lakh, while the recovery stopped 4.29 lakh. More from our correspondent.
Quite many positive developments are visible in the control of the pandemic in the state. They include the positivity rate that has dropped below 10 in all districts except Krishnagiri and Kadalur. The health department has expressed confidence that the rate in the two will also go down below 10% in the next few days. After July 19th, the total active caseload in the state dropped below 50,000 mark for the first time last Wednesday, which has been put at nearly 48,500 yesterday. Another notable milestone is the daily new infections in Chennai, which remains under 1,000 for the 8th day consecutively. However, officials insist that this cannot be a ground for lowering the bar on precautions. They have asked the public to continue to follow the safety protocols. Jai Singh, AR News, Chennai.
In Karnataka, the number of active cases of COVID-19 has crossed the 1 lakh mark yesterday. 1,01,537 active COVID patients are taking treatment in various hospitals in the state. 9,217 new COVID-19 cases were reported yesterday, taking the tally to 4,30,947. On the other hand, 7,021 people have recovered and were discharged from various hospitals in the state. The total number of recovered people has gone up to 3,22,454. More from our correspondent.
Karnataka Medical Education Minister Dr. K. Sudhakar has said that the state government aims to reduce the COVID-19 death rate to below 1%. Speaking in a function at the Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences in Bengaluru yesterday, the minister said that the death rate in the state is at 1.62% and the government intends to reduce it to below 1%. Meanwhile, the Karnataka government has decided to debut 900 postgraduate medical students to the districts to assist the COVID-related works. R. Murthy, AR News, Bengaluru.
In Gujarat, 1,332 new cases of COVID-19 were recorded during the last 24 hours. Our correspondent reports that the recovery rate has further improved to 82.31%.
More than 30,73,000 tests have been carried out in the state till date, out of which 72,151 tests were carried out yesterday. Total cases of COVID-19 in the state have gone up to 1,09,627. At present, 16,230 active cases in the state, out of which 91 patients are on ventilator. At the other end, 1,415 patients have been discharged from various hospitals after recovery. Total patients recovered from COVID-19 have gone up to 90,230. 15 patients have lost their lives yesterday, taking the total death due to COVID-19 in the state up to 3,167. Yogesh Pandya, AIR News, Ahmedabad.
The Odisha government has issued detailed guidelines to contain the spread of coronavirus during the upcoming Puja season. Our correspondent tells us more.
In a bid to balance the COVID-19 surge with the festive urge of the people, the state government has put in place a roadmap for the ensuing Puja season. Betting for only the essentials over any elaboration, the guidelines limit the idol size to 4 feet and the participation size to 7 persons on the Puja pandals at any given time. As per the order, the Durga Puja, Kali Puja and Lakshmi Puja between September and November this year would be celebrated without any pomp and public address system, while the rituals should be conducted in an indoor-like ambience. No music, no entertainment, and no idol immersion procession are some of the strict no's set by the government for the observance of religious festivals this year. Girish Chandra Das, Bhubaneswar.
The Mizoram government has declared partial lockdown in Izol Municipal area till 17th of September. The decision was taken in view of the spike in COVID-19 cases. An order issued last evening by the Chief Secretary, Lalnun Moya Chuangwo, said that significant number of cases have been reported from contact tracing.
You are listening to the morning news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to address conclave on school education in 21st century through video conferencing today. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar meets his Chinese counterpart in Moscow. Two sides agree for early disengagement and easing of tensions at the LAC. Government forms 3-member expert panel to assist in assessment of relief to bank borrowers. COVID-19 recovery rate stands at 77.74% in the country. And US revokes visas of more than 1,000 Chinese students and researchers deemed to be a security risk. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
India and the United States have asked Islamabad to expeditiously bring the perpetrators of terrorist attacks, including the 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks and the Pathankot air base attack, to justice. This was announced in a joint statement released after the meeting of India-US Counter-Terrorism Joint Working Group and the India-US Designations Dialogue, which concluded yesterday. Both India and US said that there is an urgent need for Pakistan to take immediate, sustained and irreversible action to ensure that no territory under its control is used for terrorist activities. In the statement, both the sides denounced the use of terrorist proxies and strongly condemned cross-border terrorism in all its forms. Views were exchanged on threats posed by UN-sanctioned terrorist entities. Emphasis was laid for concerted action against all terrorist networks, including Al-Qaeda, ISIS, Lashkar-e-Taiba, Jaish-e-Mohammed and Hizbul Mujahideen. Both countries shared information about their priorities for pursuing sanctions against terrorist groups and individuals. Joint commitment was also made to strengthen cooperation on information sharing and other steps to disrupt the ability of international terrorists to travel. Counter-terrorism challenges, including countering the financing and operations of terrorist organizations, were also discussed. The US has revoked the visas of more than 1,000 Chinese students and researchers who are deemed to be a security risk. A statement issued by the State Department said the revocation of the visas was authorized by a proclamation signed by President Donald Trump. The Trump administration has charged that Chinese students have come to the United States to steal intellectual property to advance China's economic and military sectors. Meanwhile, China has accused the US of racial discrimination. According to media reports, nearly 370,000 students from China were enrolled in the US universities in 2018-19.
Remembering Indian philosopher and spiritual genius Vivekananda on the 127th anniversary of his historic Chicago speech today, Union Home Minister Amit Shah said his idea of universal brotherhood, tolerance and harmony continues to liberate and touch souls of millions across the world. Mr. Shah said Vivekananda's vigorous address in Chicago was a transformational and stirring moment which introduced the entire world with a new idea of humanity. The minister said vision of New India resonated around the life, work and teachings of the spiritual genius who will always be remembered as one of the molders of the modern world. Ek Bharat Shresth Bharat celebrates India's unity in diversity by pairing various states and union territories for cultural exchanges. Under this, Sikkim has been paired with the national capital, Delhi.
In Sikkim, programs such as a national integration camp themed Ek Bharat Shresth Bharat and visit by youth from Delhi for cultural interactions were held this year before the first COVID-19 lockdown. While the pandemic has slowed down activities, the virtual mode is being explored for continued interactions and knowledge exchange. State Director of Nehru Yuva Kendra Sangathan, Shivashish Banerjee speaks about Ek Bharat Shresth Bharat program in Sikkim.
In Delhi and Sikkim, 100 youth participated, 50 from Delhi and 50 from Sikkim. Due to COVID-19 situation, it could not be held in Delhi. Delhi youth came here and the program was organized. Northeast Youth Exchange Program under Ministry of Home Affairs, Government of India. That program was also organized. Youth from Sikkim went to Bangalore and Hyderabad, and thereafter it was to have been held in Delhi, Jaipur, and all this kind of program where the youth are different states come together. Everywhere this theme is being used for this program.
The planned webinar focuses on themes such as historical significance, cultural exchanges, traditional instruments, state festivals and languages. It will provide a new platform for cultural exchanges to a large number of youth from Sikkim and Delhi amidst the pandemic. With Sikkim Sarkar, Parijat Sharma from Gangtok for AIR.
Speaking to AIR News, Resident Commissioner of Sikkim in Delhi, Ashwini Kumar Chand said since 2017, selected students and teachers of both states are visiting each other under the program. He said cultural exchanges are taking place from time to time in Sikkim and Delhi with food festivals, dance festivals, etc.
जिसके अंतर्गत कई तरह के प्रोग्राम स्कूल में किए जाएंगे और उन प्रोग्राम्स के तहत कई तरह की एक्टिविटीज को इस तरह से बनाया गया है ताकि बच्चे एक दूसरे स्टेट के बारे में जान सके, खासकर ऑर्गेनिक फार्मिंग के प्रति और वहाँ पे हेल्थ फैसिलिटीज के प्रति और वहाँ की बेस्ट प्रैक्टिसेस के प्रति लोगों को जागरूक करने में ये प्रोग्राम बहुत ही कारगर साबित हुआ है.
Today is the 99th death anniversary of Tamil national poet Subramanya Bharati. Popularly known as Mahakavi Bharati, he is considered a pioneer of modern Tamil poetry. Bharati's powerful yet simple lines that effectively stoked the fires of patriotism and nationalism during the freedom movement. Floral tributes are being paid today at his memorial in various centres in Tamil Nadu, including Ettayapuram, his birthplace. In our series on Gandhian philosophy today, we will focus on one of Mahatma's greatest gifts to mankind, his unique way of unarmed fight against the oppressor and jewel of his non-violent armory, the Satyagraha. Today, as the world celebrates 114th anniversary of the Satyagraha launch, let's take a look at what happened on 11 September in 1906.
Mahatma Gandhi said violence will prevail over violence only when someone can prove that darkness can be dispelled by darkness. With this kind of belief and confidence, he organized a strategy of non-violent resistance to oppose racist policies in South Africa. Speaking before more than 3,000 Indians gathered at the Old Empire Theatre in Johannesburg, Gandhi called for united effort to put an end to oppression and discriminatory practices of unjust laws. Gandhi made people realize that resistance does not require weapons and it could be done even without hatred towards enemies. He urged people to take up the path of self-suffering and non-violence along with persistence and belief in their pursuit of truth. Mahatma's philosophy and teachings were such that they inspired even his opponents. At a later stage, the second South African Prime Minister, General J.C. Smuts, called Gandhi a saint and regretted his action against him. Anand Chaturvedi, AIR News, Delhi.
In our series Experts Speak on All India Radio, we bring you the views of leading medical experts on COVID-19. Talking to AIR News, Dr. Uma Kumar, Head of Rheumatology Department AIMS, suggested to people to follow social distancing, hand hygiene and cough etiquette.
The only thing which helps is social distancing or physical distancing. Along with it, you have like hand hygiene, washing your hands very frequently, and cough etiquettes like while coughing or sneezing, just cover your face and nose. Use tissue paper or cloth, or if you don't have anything, you can just cough into your elbows.
Myanmar has suspended domestic flights in the country from today in view of the spike in COVID-19 cases. The national carrier Myanmar National Airlines MNA announced that all domestic flights have been temporarily suspended till 30th of September in order to protect people from the pandemic. Several other domestic airlines have also announced suspension of flights. Myanmar has already banned international flights till September 30th. Serena Williams of the United States and Victoria Azarenka from Belarus will meet in the semi-finals of the US Open after beating their respective rivals in the women's singles quarterfinals. Serena had to come back from a set and break down to storm to a 4-6, 6-3, 6-2 win against Bulgaria's Svetlana Pirenkova, while Victoria Azarenka triumphed against 16th seed Elise Mertens of Belgium 6-1, 6-0.
Now let us take a look at the weather forecast for today. National capital Delhi is expected to have mainly clear sky. The minimum temperature recorded in the city was 25 degrees Celsius. Maximum temperature expected to be around 36 degrees. Mumbai will have generally cloudy sky with light rain. Minimum temperature recorded was 27, while the maximum will be around 34 degrees. Chennai will have generally cloudy sky. Minimum temperature recorded was 25 degrees, and the maximum is expected at around 33 degrees. Kolkata will have partly cloudy sky with possibility of moderate rain or thunderstorm. The minimum temperature in the metropolis was 28 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be around 34 degrees. In the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, the minimum temperature in Jammu was 24 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be around 35 degrees. In Jammu and Kashmir, there will be mainly clear sky. Minimum temperature in Srinagar was recorded at 13, while the maximum is expected to be around 31. Ladakh will have mainly clear sky. The minimum temperature was 9 degrees and the maximum could go up to 28 degrees Celsius. Gilgit and Muzaffarabad are also going to have mainly clear sky. The minimum temperature in Gilgit was 15 degrees Celsius and the maximum is expected to be around 33 degrees. In Muzaffarabad, the minimum temperature was 20 degrees Celsius and the maximum is expected to be around 35 degrees. In Chandigarh, the sky will be partly cloudy. The minimum temperature recorded was 25 degrees Celsius and the maximum is expected to be around 35 degrees. In Dehradun, the minimum and maximum temperature will hover between 24 and 33 degrees Celsius. The city will have partly cloudy sky with possibility of development of thunder lightning. In Hyderabad, the minimum temperature was 23 degrees Celsius while the maximum will go up to 33. The city will have generally cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. Guwahati will have generally cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers.
And now an overview of today's newspapers. India's foreign minister meeting his Chinese counterpart in Moscow amid the 4-month-long standoff at the LAC is the lead in most newspapers. Jaishankar, Yi meet amid LAC row, writes the Tribune. India-China foreign ministers talk for 2 hours in a bid to ease LAC crisis, writes the Times of India. The Indian Express reports Pangong fingers hot up, scramble for heights as PLMN mass on ridge, India sends more troops. India-Japan inked military pact to counter China, headlines the Times of India. Rafale fighter jets induction into Indian Air Force also gets widely reported. The Pioneer quotes Defence Minister Rajnath Singh as saying it's a stern warning to those threatening India's sovereignty. On the COVID situation in the country, the Pioneer says India sees 8 lakh cases in the first 10 days of September. And finally, the Tribune reports the first Indian-born woman to enter space, Kalpana Chawla, gets an American spacecraft named after her.
And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to address conclave on school education in 21st century through video conferencing today. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar meets his Chinese counterpart in Moscow. 2 sides agree for early disengagement and easing of tensions at LAC. Government forms 3-member expert panel to assist in assessment of relief to bank borrowers. COVID-19 recovery rate stands at 77.74% in the country. And US revokes visas of more than 1,000 Chinese students and researchers deemed to be a security risk. And for details of these stories and more, you can log on to our website www.newsonair.com. And with that, we end the morning news. Have a nice day.